No Balls, No Filter podcast, live from the cabin kitchen. I'm Zach, he's Brad.
Hello, everybody.
And behind the scenes, we have a man who is absent in both mind and presence this week because he's not here once again. It's researcher Carl, who's not here.
It's interesting that you say he's absent in mind and presence, considering his the sort of nickname amongst our group is Megamind. The irony is not lost on me with that one.
Rumour has it the reason why he hasn't shown his face yet is we can't find a camera big enough for his head.
Wow, he's getting personal now. God, research Carl, get on it. This slander.
He might join us. He might join us throughout the session. He's just got something on at this moment in time, which we might get to a little bit later. But he might join us in a little bit. But anyway, Brad, how are you today?
Yeah, I'm not too bad at all, to be honest. I think last week I'd spoken about having a bit of time off work and things, which has been lovely. Back to the grind this week, but I'm not going to woe is me story that one. But no, I'm not too bad. How's yourself?
Hey, I'm good. I feel calmer this week. Last week I was a bit flustered, if you couldn't tell in the episode. A little bit flustered. My teddy nearly got thrown out of the wagon, I'm not going to lie to you. But we're a little bit better today. We're in a bit of a better spot, touch wood, and all that jazz. We're getting there, had a decent weekend. And yeah, looking forward to the show today, mate. What we've got in store is the main question.
Yeah, I mean, it's been probably a fairly quiet-ish one in the world of the NFL. There's a few stories we'll definitely touch on, but we're going to visit those headlines, obviously, on a quiet pre-draft week. So we're not far away from the draft now, are we? That's just over a week away. We'll probably, I think the plan is to dig a bit deeper into the draft next week, so bear with us on that one, and obviously make sure you tune in for that. We've had an interesting week, though, actually. We've touched base with all of the AFC teams this past week, and they've shared with us just a word or two about how they feel about themselves. And I'm being honest here, they really wanted to speak with us nobodies. So I hope you're interested to hear what they've got to say, and that'll be coming up later in the show. And then for the first time properly, I guess, we're actually going to discuss the world of Britball. So for those that don't know that term, Britball is the title, if you like, given to American football played over here in Britain. So the adult contact season commences this weekend, so we're going to have a little look at that. And of course, visit the world of rugby league and other sports.
Oh, wait, I'm looking forward to hearing what these teams have to say. I'm not going to lie. I'm looking forward to it. But let's get into the news headlines for the week, shall we? And coming into this, has Mike Vrabel been a naughty boy? All right, and it's a bit harsh, is that I must admit. But if you've not seen all over X, Mr. Vrabel has been caught in a compromising position with the New York Times NFL reporter Diana Rossini, I believe. Now, I'm not just throwing all the blame on one side here, because I want to touch on this a little bit. I mean, so did he, but I want to touch on this a little bit, right? Which is the fact that Mrs. actually, I think it is at the moment, because she has a fella. It's not the first time she's been caught in a compromising position with someone from the NFL, whilst presumably everything here, by the way, is a highly presumed allegation, and it's all an assumption, let's just say. She's been caught a couple of times now doing the exact same thing while trying to get a scoop with a team, with an informed team, or a how can I put it, like a highly spoke about team at the time. Now, look, the photos don't look great, I'm not going to lie to you, but pictures speak 1,000 words, and we don't know the context behind these, so we're definitely not going to throw shade where we don't know facts. That is something there. But she was caught back in 2015 with Sean McVay, the Rams head coach at the time, which then ended up leading into a drunken fist fight with McVay's other half at the time, Britt McHenry, who then ended up getting into a scrap with them. And not only that, she was caught in 2012 with the then Redskins GM, now Commanders, but the then Redskins GM at the time caught in a compromised position with them. Now, look, right, I don't know what you think about this, Brad, but I just think, stop getting caught. If you're gonna start doing this, stop going to places and going outside. If you know what I mean.
Well, I wasn't aware of this until this, like, the last sort of 24 hours or so. Obviously, this broke, I think, was it like late last week, I think, or over the weekend? And apparently, so the pictures of them sort of at the hotel laid on the sun lounges and stuff next to each other. Apparently, that's like, obviously it's quite an exclusive hotel, but there's rules around phones, so you're not allowed phones in actual like public areas, and it's quite clearly like an iPhone picture or something like that, isn't it? It's not like a professional hidden in the bushes sort of job. So it's just interesting to see, to know where that sort of leak, if you like, has come from. I think it's a difficult one, isn't it? Because you don't want to sort of comment on people's private lives too much. But what I think's quite interesting about it, my perspective, is realistically, it's all the sort of heat is on her. And I know you kind of have said like this form there, and I'll be honest, I've got no awareness of that history whatsoever. But I think the heat actually potentially comes from the job she's in. She's basically an insider, isn't she? Is it The Athletic she works for? I think. She's a part of the New York Times. I think that's a part of the New York Times, isn't it? So she's basically their insider, if you like. She's their main sort of NFL reporter. So you're saying there, like, is she trying to get the scoop and things like that? And what's interesting is, like, as a reporter, like, I'm not a journalist, I'm not a reporter by any means of the word, but part of your authenticity is that sort of the way you go about your business and the way you get your contacts and the way you deal with other people. And actually what's quite interesting with this one, and I'm not sort of taking any credit from this sort of angle, I've actually sort of read this and heard it in a few different places, and I kind of see where they're coming from, is, one of the big sort of stories that's coming from the Patriots camp this sort of off season is the sort of interest in players like AJ Brown and things like that. And it'd be interesting to see or to know how much that angle is coming from her, or is she trying to get the inside track on that and, to be able to drop the news further. I don't know. Obviously, neither of us know, but it's certainly not a good position to be caught in for either of them, is it?
No, it's not. No, it's not. And look, we're not going to air people's lifestyles on here, but it's just one of them. It's not a great look, but I'm sure it'll all come out and there'll be statements from both parties as to what was actually going on.
Oh, will there?
Well, yeah, we'd like to think so. Anyway, moving on, the Texans have exercised their fifth, and that is on two players. CJ Stroud has got his 5th-year extension, which has been claimed to be worth around $25 million for the year, as well as their defensive end, Will Anderson, who is also worth roughly around $21 million for the year. For me, smart bit of business. CJ Stroud has shown he's shown some lightning ability, and he's got them to good places, and he is good. He has lacked that maturity and just that ball knowledge in the NFL, and he's had to grow up quite a few times, like in the game, if that makes sense. He's just making them silly mistakes. So I think it's a very smart decision in terms of just get one more year out of him, see how he gets on. It is what it is. If it doesn't work out, then move on. But I think he's decent. I think it's a good little signing for him, to be fair.
I think for a player like CJ, I think you've probably got to take the 5th-year option. I don't think he's been consistent enough to justify a real big contract. You're potentially entering that Tua trap, aren't you, where you make the big deal because you've just got to. With the quarterbacks, it's just the next man up, isn't it? And this probably just gives them another year, another bit of breathing space. My assumption would be they'll probably tie Will Anderson up to a longer-term contract sooner rather than later. Probably before CJ. But then on the flip side of that, if you are thinking about keeping him, you probably need to do the business with your quarterback, because that's going to be the highest paid contract in your team, you would assume. But I think, I agree. I think it's the right sort of next step for the Texans, and it'll be interesting to see what comes next for these two players and whether they produce the goods that the Texans are hoping.
Yeah, for me, it forces CJ to play well for the first half of the season because a lot of the time they'll get these big contracts towards like the middle of the season when, especially in these fifth years in particular, they'll get them on towards back end of towards the middle of this season. Because they've got to play the skin out to earn it. And if he's not playing that consistent CJ Stroud that we know where he's playing really well every game, he ain't going to get paid. And if he continues to do that, he will just go into free agency next time around and probably turn into a backup QB with how the QB draft class looks in the next couple of years. So I think it's really smart for both sides because it forces him to play better and it forces him to improve that game rather than, I'm not saying it happened with Tua, but that Tua trap where they gave him the money and he just declined rather than improved and rather than forced him to do it. I don't think a lot of it's psychological for Tua there, but I think it's a good thing for CJ. I think it's a good thing for the Texans in general.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's smart little bit of business. It's the right thing to do, and we'll see if it works out for them. But I think it's relatively low risk, potentially high reward on the 5th-year option. So I think it probably makes sense generally.
Completely agree. Right, we have two of our passions. Big crossover, rugby league, NFL crossover. Is it happening again? Rugby league giant Ben Takora of Brisbane Broncos has been given permission to do a 6-week NFL training camp in hopes of impressing teams. Now, the big question here is why and has it worked in the past?
It's a mixed bag, isn't it? Obviously, you hear of some big names going across, and it very rarely works, in my opinion. I always remember Jared Hayes, he was the first one sort of who went across, and when he went across, he was seen as an absolute top end player. Takura, if I'm not mistaken, has probably had quite limited playing time in the NRL. I think he's had a few injuries and a few knocks and things there. So will it work? I don't know. I just think when you grow up playing rugby and that's your whole career, you're then suddenly shifting across and trying to compete with players who have grown up their entire life playing the NFL. And when we look at some of the athletes in the NFL, these are we're talking top athletes, plus then the fact that they've played this sport their entire life. So it's just difficult to be able to compete with that.
See, for me, I don't think it's the athleticism that ever lets them down. I think it's the knowledge and just how smart they are as a person. And I don't mean that in disrespect to anybody because I'm not the brightest person in the world. I'll hold my hands up to that. But you imagine not knowing, it's talking another language. A massive, I tell you what, a big thing to prove this. Gruden just put out his new QB classes on YouTube, right? If you go watch them, and he sits down with the QBs in the class this year in the draft, and he just they're shouting plays to each other, and it is just a complete other language. And this is why I feel like a lot of them don't work, because they'll go in, expecting, I'm going to be a wide receiver, I'm going to be a running back, and they just can't grasp the coaches have to tweak the playbooks and things to make a simpler play for when they're in, rather than being able to express themselves, because they don't understand the lingo, the jargon, just the way the game works. They're just expecting to get the ball. We've seen it in the past, bro, when we've had rugby players come down and play, our level of football, which is nowhere near like what these guys are, and they've come down, oh, you're just wearing pads and helmets, I'll run ball, and then they realise there's a lot of thinking. It's chess with contact at the end of the day. You've got to think further in front, and that for me is what I think is the biggest letdown for the rugby players trying to go into it. And it's just, not only that comes with time and knowledge, and getting a practice squad out of it doesn't get you either, or does it?
No, it doesn't. And I think you're absolutely right. It's learning a completely new language. I mean, even just compare rugby league to rugby union, it's two completely different sports. Compare American football to flag football. It is just a different game, and it's so hard. And, you will have people who do fairly well, but they're not. How much time can an NFL team give you when you've got other players who've been doing it the whole life and are just as athletic who can do it? I think the interesting thing about this guy, and it's probably a reason you've got NFL teams potentially interested in this sort of trial for 6 weeks, is that, by all accounts, he's the tallest player in the NRL. So he is, if I'm getting this stat right, 205 centimeters tall. I don't know what that works out. Yeah, nearly as tall as you. But I'm just quickly figuring this out now. So it's 6'8", and it's 6'8.7 inches. So he is a beast. It'll be interesting to see where they sort of start placing him as an athlete, really, on the field for an NFL team. But you know what? I wish him well. I wish him well. Yep. I hope it works for him. It's apparently a dream of his. So, they're giving him this opportunity to go and do that 6-week trial at a training camp. So maybe it'll work, maybe it won't, and nothing lost, is there?
Only time will tell, and we'll try and keep up with that. We'll try and keep in the loop with that. Right, we're going to move on right quickly, mate, just to a couple of signings and trades that have happened around the NFL. Devontavian Wicks to the Philadelphia Eagles, a wide receiver that's gone for a 2026 fifth round and a 2027 seventh round. So he's gone there. He's gone to the Eagles for them picks, low level picks. Nice little backup receiver. Just adds that depth across there. Brandon Allen's gone to the Giants. QB backup. No contract detail just yet as a free agent. So he's going to be there just supporting that QB room, bit of knowledge in there, and just getting that backup QBs are so underrated in the NFL, especially when they're veteran backup QBs, to bring that knowledge and just to support the QBs, that QB room in particular, as we just spoke about how knowledgeable you've got to be as a QB. And Elijah Moore to the Philadelphia Eagles, another wide receiver there, 1 year, $5 million. He's got a sign. It's got a sign in there for that. And again, another little addition to bolster that Eagles wide receiver room, really.
Lovely little bit of business.
Aye, not too bad. But if you listen to this, guys, we have all these on screen. So if you didn't hear anything I just said there, because I know I can speak a bit fast sometimes, you can see it on screen so you can read it and catch up with it that way. Head over to our YouTube channel as well, Spotify. You can see it all on there. Every episode has a video. You can also see mine and Brad's wonderful faces. So yeah, head over to the All Balls No Filter YouTube page and Spotify. See it from there. Drop us a comment and a review and all that jazz, and subscribe. Right, mate. I am looking forward to this next bit. We're getting into, I mean, you were the one that kind of got this deal for us. You were the one that got in touch with the teams.
I worked really hard. I've worked really hard on this.
We're still waiting for the NFC teams to come back though, right?
Yeah, that's it. I thought, 16 teams is a big job for me, so I've sort of got my agents out there. They're sort of working with some of the NFC agents and sort of representation from the teams, and we're hoping we might have them maybe next week, maybe after the draft. We'll see how the land falls, but we'll find the right time to share this wonderful insight that we're getting with you.
Okay, so let's start off with team sentences. Okay, so again, we're going to start off with the AFC East. Okay, now I've just seen the email that's come through there. So the Buffalo Bills. The statement about the Buffalo Bills. I'm elite enough to dominate in January, but not quite enough to survive it.
How very honest and open of the Bills to admit that.
Yes. And then, for some reason, the Dolphins got in touch with me about this one, mate. The Dolphins.
I'm sure they did.
Yeah, the AFC team number 2, the Miami Dolphins. I look like a Ferrari in September, then mysteriously break down when winter hits. So they start well, but then I think that's what we're trying to get. They start all right, and then just the wheels fall off.
It's interesting that Miami seems so self-aware finally that actually there's kind of like a double meaning here, that they shit the bed later in the season, but ironically refer to the weather. What a coincidence.
Yeah, I know, right? So there's the two AFC teams for myself.
Yeah, and then so the New York Jets, the lovely franchise that they are, so they had an interesting statement that they shared with me. They said, "We are just one healthy season away from greatness. Unfortunately, that season is purely theoretical.
Hey, look, I'm liking the honestness that's coming from these teams right now. This is pure, like, exclusivity that we're getting on the All Balls No Filter podcast here. That they're giving us the honestness here, the honesty, should I say? Going from there.
Maybe it's the fact that we are just nobody, so like no one's listening to this, so we can just get it off of our chest as like a bit of an outlet or something.
Maybe so.
Speaking about that honesty, your beloved
Right.
Patriots were quite interesting, sort of kind of saying what we're all thinking really is that, admitting that, well, I'll just read it word for word. So we used to be a dynasty. Now we're just aggressively nostalgic about Tom Brady.
Hey, look, right.
Their words. Their words.
Greatness. Hey, look, we've got to accept greatness, and he was the greatest of all time, in the greatest dynasty of all time. So yeah, I get what they're saying. But
do you not feel like they could have? Do you not feel like the greatest quarterback of all time, greatest player of all time, in one of, if not the greatest dynasty of all time, probably should have honoured him with one of the best statues of all time, as opposed to the shambles that they did erect.
That's like Portugal and the Cristiano Ronaldo one. Like,
oh my word, it's awful.
What he did as a footballer, you think the country would like get around him and get the best people involved with it, and it was the worst. Like,
is it outside? Is it Madeira's airport? Is that where it is?
Yes.
God, it's just horrific. He looks deformed, doesn't he?
Yeah, but I agree. I got a bit of a thing me about statues. I just don't think you should do them. I don't think you should be making statues. Madame Tussauds a sound because it's wax and all that jazz, but statues I just don't think you should be doing because they never come out right. No statue. You know what, right? Prove me wrong in the comments below. Find me a statue that looks good, that looks like the person that it's supposed to look like legitimately. Not just like, oh, he's got the same nose. No, find me a statue that looks good. Because
I'm just throwing it out here, mate. I feel like you're opening yourself up to some absolute carnage here. Considering the different sort of representational characters you have amongst our friendship group, you are in serious bother here.
Oh, yeah, I am, Anna.
I might even get on there on the comments myself.
I retract that. Right, moving on. AFC North, the Cincinnati Bengals got in touch. And very similar, weirdly enough, very similar to the New York Jets one. And the Cincinnati Bengals got in touch, and the basic to me, I said, look, I'm one Joe Burrow healthy season away from being everyone's nightmare. Which I think is quite honest, they just can't keep him fit. They just can't keep him fit.
They can't, bless them.
And then we've got the Pittsburgh Steelers who came in saying, look, I refuse to have a losing season, but I also refuse to have a scary one. So, they've got that winning record there, I think, but they're still pretty shit,
What do you think's going to happen with that? Do you think that record of theirs is still going to, is it a Pittsburgh Steeler record or is it a Mike Tomlin record? It'd be so interesting to see how this goes.
I think it's whatever, I don't know, to be fair.
I mean, they don't have a quarterback at the minute, do they? It's so unknown.
No, and honestly, I don't know. I think it's just going to sound really obvious. I think it sits with them both until it's broken, if that makes sense. Like, the moment Pittsburgh Steelers have it without him, for instance, is the moment it's a Mike Tomlin record. Do you know what I mean? At this moment in time, it's just up in the air as being both of the records for the foreseeable.
It's like a weird version of the Brady Belichick sort of discussion, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly the same. Exactly the same. That'd be my view on that. Your AFC North ones, buddy?
Yeah, so the Baltimore Ravens reached out directly back to me after obviously, asking them for the inside scoop, and they were really open, and ironically, they said, you know what, it's probably likely that the Bills are going to say something similar. They said, we dominate from September to December, and then we just politely excuse ourselves from January.
Yeah, I dig it.
And then quite closely followed by the Cleveland Browns, they were sort of in there straight away, and they said, look, we'll give you statements for the next 5-6 years if you get it approved at the owners' meeting. But I said, no, just this moment's all right. And they said, I very much enjoy spending huge money each year just to creatively reinvent disappointment.
I love it. You can't reinvent the wheel, but you can reinvent disappointment. I love it.
You can
AFC
indeed.
South, Indianapolis Colts came in and they were talking, they were humming and hawing which way to go about this, but they went with the narrative of themselves being, I spin the QB wheel, I spin the QB roulette wheel every year, and I swear this time it'll land on a winner. We got that one there. And then the Titans and another AFC South team came in talking about the state of their team at the moment and where they're at as a franchise, and to basically turn around and say, look, I'm mid-rebuild, I'm mid-identity, and currently just mid.
How very transparent of them.
So honest.
It's almost like 2026 is like a new year, new me in terms of teams' transparency and honest and sort of self-awareness. It's crazy.
It's like a new me, new year, new year, new me thing.
Yeah, all that shebang.
Yeah.
So the Texans got in touch and
Okay.
they said, look, we went from rebuild to contender so fast, even we're a bit confused. And everyone around us seems to pretend that they saw it coming.
Hey, look, right. With that, right, so just, I love the honesty there with the Texans, right? And when you think about it, it is quite, it's factual, that, because we all were like, oh yeah, we can see it because of the defense and everything, but they kind of halted in signings, if that makes sense, because I don't like, I think I don't think they realize they're probably 2 years above their schedule and everybody else does.
Yeah, and it was like, I think they had, when they first got CJ, didn't they? They had that really big year, and then they had a quiet year or two, and then suddenly last year out of nowhere it was like, we're here. And they were like quietly sneaky good whole season, and then suddenly they're like battling it out to be in the Super Bowl. Just madness. A team that wasn't battling it out to be in the Super Bowl, though, was the Jaguars. And they were quite open and honest about their sort of legal obligations. So they came back to me and they said, look, we need to be more careful because we start looking like a playoff team right up until remembering that we are legally obligated to collapse mid-season.
Now you brought our friendship group into that. Could bring some of our friendship group on your back here in the comments, because that is direct fire at the Jaguars there. I know they're not your words.
These aren't my words.
I know they're not your words. Don't shoot the messenger, as the saying goes. But so when they say the truth hurts, he's getting there. Right, moving on to the AFC West now. The Denver Broncos got in touch, and they're quite honest, to be quite honest with you. I'm still paying for yesterday's decisions while hoping my next QB fix finally sticks. So that big chunk of money going out, hoping that this next QB, we get it. And they've got a lot of promise with the QB.
I'm not sure if you got those emails right way round. That could have quite easily been from my Dolphins.
Well, yeah, there is that, to be fair. Coming from a lot of teams as well, to be quite honest. I'm sure that it was denver.broncos@gmail.com. That's where it came from.
Legit.
So it must be them, right? Exactly. So AFC West continues with the Los Angeles Chargers. And these were one of the most honest reviews, I must admit, that we got back in. And it was, I find new and creative ways to waste elite talent every single year. So, honesty is finest there from our Los Angeles Chargers, indeed.
I can't believe Harbaugh let that go.
No, right. I don't think he realised, to be fair.
I'm sure when he listens to this episode tomorrow, he will be fuming.
Yeah.
Okay, so for the last two, we've got... I'm not going to end with the Chiefs because I feel like that's just cliche, but the Chiefs did get in touch and they said, look, we're at the point now, a little bit longer this one, we're at the point now where we're ready to get back to our old ways. Ways where even when we're playing badly, we still somehow win. Like that one mate who turns up late to five-a-side, does nothing all game, and then scores the winner and acts like it was the plan all along.
I like it. Bravo, Chiefs. Bravo.
Very well done, Chiefs, if I do say so myself. And then, last but not least, the Raiders, which are an interesting franchise, aren't they? So, again, really, really honest, this one. This one's in first person, so I don't know if it's from Mr. Brady himself or other higher-ups in the team, but it says, I make bold, headline-grabbing decisions that are all absolutely genius and full of swagger, where we then wake up and realise they were made at 2 a.m. after 3 pints and a dodgy kebab. And by the morning, you're left trying to piece together what on earth you were thinking and how it somehow got even more chaotic than before.
See, that could have quite easily have been from the Browns, if I'm going to be honest with you as well. But it does. The Browns, the Raiders, they're a very similar team at this moment in time. But I enjoyed them. And I just want to say thank you to all the NFL teams, all the AFC teams, should I say, for getting in touch with us and giving your super honest team reviews right now. Hey guys, if you liked that, let us know. Let us know which one your favourite one as well in the comments below or on our socials at ABNFpod across all your socials, by the way. Let us know which one your favourite were. And if you want to hear the NFC ones, I believe that they are on via carrier pigeon on email coming over the sea right now to us. So if you want to hear them next week, give us a shout, let us know. And just a bit of fun, a bit of lighthearted while we move on with things from there. Now, moving on to across the pond and to this side. And we want to talk a little bit about the British game. So the British game, Britball, BAFA, British American Football Association is what it's known as, and across from there. He's very close to mine and Brad's heart. We've been involved with the sport for nearly 11 years this year now. And this weekend is the start of a new season. And I'll be honest with you, it's a really exciting time to be a part of BAFA and just the game as a whole within the UK, right? And the reason being is last year there was, for the first time in a good couple of years, to be quite honest with you, there was quite a major divisional structure realignment. So we both have been involved with the sport, and we've been in the same division for quite a few years now, haven't we? Or very similar division, shall I say, for quite a good couple of years, where maybe one or two teams have just changed, what changed between them. But we've played this very set of same teams, and now it's changed, and there's been quite a big twist and turn in it. And I just think it's exciting for this weekend. What are your thoughts on that, Brad?
I just think it's for a lot of teams, there's been a few big scenarios across the league, such as, two Premiership teams have disappeared. So London Warriors withdrew from BAFA. So London Warriors, if you're sort of not involved in Britball directly and you're not sort of in the know, they are quite consistently one of your top teams within the country. Countless titles, and they've basically withdrawn from BAFA. The assumption, I don't know if it's officially confirmed yet or not, to be honest, but is that they're going to be playing in the European leagues or a European league, because there's drama there as well, isn't there, with competing leagues. And then also Scunthorpe Alphas, who are a pretty new team actually, but have done really, really well, and they've sort of been promoted. I think it was back to back, maybe. I can't actually remember now. But they've folded. They've merged with Humber. They're folded, in essence, I think, really. But so with that, you get a lot of, talent moving on to different teams in the area, which then shakes up the teams and adds extra spiciness there. And then, as you said, Zach, obviously some new league alignments. Look, we don't really closely cover Britball in terms of as a media or as our podcast, for example. We are involved in it, day to day, but we don't cover it as such. But it's quite interesting seeing some of those outlets that do cover specifically Britball and the British game, and they do a great job. It's really interesting to see sort of the posts of like, oh, who's going to win this league, who's going to win this league, and the amount of variety of responses. And I think that sort of shows how up in the air the start of the season at least will be. There's always variety with Britball anyway, but it'll be interesting to see how it goes this first few weeks of games.
Yeah, and in Britball, we don't a lot of the time. You don't have you won't have like a block of games back to back to back to back to back. For instance, you might have 2 or 3 games back to back, and then a big break, and you're going that way just because of how the season lines up and everything. And we're gonna have a look in a minute at this weekend's schedules and just have a look to the website and see if any of them that kind of strike out to us. But like as Brad said, some of the new matchups that are there is exciting, and I think as a whole, this moment, the Britball kind of media has got that level of like engagement, which I've never seen before, and it's so good to see. And do you know what's really good to see as well? That Division 2, the lower level, right? Division 2 is getting some of the most amount of interaction and engagement and conversation about it because because of the structural realignments. It's exciting to see, and that's always really nice because as you go up the divisions, it becomes more and more kind of not serious as such, but just the training multiple times a week and things like that, where you are more city-based teams there. So it's really good to see that across the entirety of the league alignments, it's getting that traction, and the numbers are all an all-time high with player counts and everything. It's just so good to see as a whole. But let's just have a look right quickly here, Brad. I'm just going to quickly bob up on the screen now. If you're watching this here, head over to the our YouTube channel or Spotify. So we have the schedule for this weekend, and this weekend has got quite a good number of games going across. And just looking across this here, with the Warriors not being the London team anymore, the first one that kind of strikes out to me is this Prem South game, the Blitz and the Aztecs. Can the Blitz kind of emerge as that number 1 team in the city centre at this moment in time?
Yeah, I mean, there was a period, wasn't there, like, where it was sort of which team will win the season? Is it going to be Warriors or Blitz? Back and forth. But Bristol Aztecs are arguably sort of number 1 team at the minute, or definitely sort of, I think, as far as general consensus goes, they're going into this season as your favourites. So I think that'll be a real interesting game to see how that one comes out.
Yeah, and as well with this, you get Prem North and Prem South. You got 2 games in each one of them, and it's nice to see a good chunk of games happening around, and wherever you are in the country, kind of getting to see them. The East Kilbride, Nottingham, that's some travel, is that? I must admit, tough away game, first game of the season. I'm not gonna lie, but heading down there as well, it'll be a decent game. Just going through here as well. We have a couple of Division 1 games happening across the field. There's just the one in each division from what we can see here. And again, another London team being the London Olympians, I believe, are the newest London team. You see, with them all the Wembley Stadiums, I couldn't tell you off the top of my head.
I believe so.
Yeah, so again, another tough game there. In Div 1. But scrolling through here and getting down to, we've got Division 2 now, where another chunk of games are happening across, and this is where the biggest kind of shift up has happened, and some of the newer teams, like not so newer teams, but the newer alignments are in there. It'd be interesting to see. So we've got Darlington and Humber. It'd be a real tough game. That 2 people that we've faced in the past. Humber looking really strong this year as well. So that'd be a really good test for both teams. And I think on paper, Humber are the team to beat in that division, and I think everyone's going to be wanting to beat them just to kind of prove a point to the rest of the division, really.
Yeah, I think for that, I think a lot of the talk about Humber, they've for the last couple of seasons, they've always been that sort of top end Division 2, bottom end Division 1 sort of team. But when we mentioned about the Alphas, who've had some real good success recently, they've merged with Humber now, and I think everyone's expecting them to have that sort of firepower, but as I say, like a lot of stuff changes year on year, so who knows? It's different coaching, coaching crew. Although they've got some very good, well-established
Yep.
coaches at Humber, absolutely. So yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting one to see how that division goes. To be honest.
100%. And then we've got Lincoln and Gateshead, Gateshead are close friends of ours, to be fair to you. Very strong game there. Looking forward to seeing the result of that. It's a shame we got a game this weekend. Otherwise, it'd have been nice to go and watch that. So that'd be a good game, good test. See where the guys are at. Midlands here. Bulls at Raiders. I don't want to give too much on that, just for obvious reasons. But yeah, Bulls and Raiders be a good game to start off with. The Bulls coming out of a strong team, an old Div 1 moving down to Div 2, so they've got a point to prove within that. And then you've got Rossendale and Doncaster. Now, Rossendale, that bogey team, no one knows much about because they are new to the division. So that'll be an exciting kind of start off.
They are, but they've had some good games in their associate leagues, in their associate seasons and games. So I think they're a dark horse. I don't think anyone should be taking them for granted, really. Mustangs have been around for a long time, and they seem to have recruited well. They seem to have had a good pre-season. So I think, and you kind of see, trying not to be biased here, but I guess the feedback's been very similar on your social medias and things. The NFC 2 Midlands is the one probably that's had a good chunk of a good change, amount of change. Sorry, I'll get my words out eventually. It's probably one of the more open divisions, I would say. So I think it's going to be a really exciting season.
I do. I'm looking forward to being a part of it and seeing the results of it, to be fair to you. Moving on to the Southern Divisions now. Teams that I'll be honest with you, I don't know much about. We've got the Berkshire Raiders, and the Ouse Valley Eagles and Norwich Devils and Ipswich Cardinals. Couldn't tell you much about any of the teams, to be quite honest with you. But hopefully, if we can carry on this segment going forward, just showing a little bit of the Britball game, we can kind of follow on the teams and who's who, where's where type thing. It's not a division we've ever been, a part of or played any of the teams, really, to be fair to you.
One thing I can tell you is that Cornwall probably have early starts most Sundays.
Yeah.
We've actually had a player join our team from Cornwall, so he's in the military and he's moved up here now, and we've got an early start or an earlier start than what we're normally used to on Sunday. And I remember chatting to him, like, so how early is early? And I'm like, well, we'll probably be setting off about 7, half 7. And you're like, that's a lie-in.
The guys come from his job. It quite requires an early start, so it probably is a lie to him. But yeah, that's Britball in a nutshell. Just touching over some little bits about it. We're probably gonna get some shade for brushing over a certain team in particular from our friends, but we're trying not to be biased. All right, because we're going to be biased in a second, because we're going to be moving on to our next favourite segment in just a second, which would be the I Can't Speyk segment, where we're talking all things rugby league. Yeah. This week was a Challenge Cup, mate. What did you watch? Did you watch any of the games, first of all?
I watched bits of a few, but the one that I did watch, the vast majority of, was the Wakefield Wigan game. And as you can probably see by the score, it was probably the game of the weekend. Now, I don't want to sit here and say, yes, it was, because I didn't watch all of the others. But it was great. It was an absolute cracker. And I think, Wakefield were leading, I think, to begin with. I tuned into it just a bit late, so I didn't catch the beginning of it. But Wakefield were winning, I believe. And then Wigan sort of came back and took the lead. But towards that last sort of 20, 30 minutes of the game, it was so tight. And there was a bit of biff going on there as well. Tempers were flaring. It was quite heated at times. It was just a good old school Challenge Cup game. But, I thought Wakefield were going to do it. I really did towards the back end of the game. But Wigan are just they just know how to close games out, and they managed to, yeah.
So I didn't get a chance to watch a lot of the game. Just when we finished training actually on Saturday, 2 of the games were on in the clubhouse afterwards, so I got managed to watch a little bit there. But then afterwards, I just had things on, so I didn't get managed to watch them live. But I caught up with a little bit of it online and just a few of the highlights. And one thing that kind of shone out to me was that Hull KR York game. Now Hull KR haven't played very well this year. It's no secret. They haven't come out firing like they have done in the past. They haven't come out looking like the team that they have done in the past. That being said, York have taken a sharp decline after the first couple of weeks, 3 or 4 weeks of the season, where they looked like a really good team coming up and they looked like they were going to be competing with the best of the best this year, and they've taken that decline. And watching the start of, I'm pretty sure it was yourself that I said it to in the clubhouse, watching the start of that game, I turned around and I said, KR's going to put 100 past them here. And I was surprised when York scored, because it looked like that, that Lock Lane game we spoke about when they got bet by 100 points. It started looking like that to start off with. Now that's probably giving York quite a bit of disrespect there, but they just didn't look like the team that they were at the start of the season. And is fatigue kicking into that starting set now that they're struggling with match fitness at this level consistently? And that's what strikes to me when the 48-10. Taking nothing away from OKR here. OKR played well. OKR looked like the OKR of last year. Is it too late to be getting into that form now with how good Wigan just look?
Maybe. I think the thing with Hull KR is, if we're honest, I think they were probably distracted with the other games that they had going on. They had the World Club Challenge, they had the Vegas game, and I think that was probably just a distraction for them, to be honest. So I think they're probably just finding their feet now, and they're just sort of where they need to be. They put on a show, didn't they? And York just couldn't quite compete. But I think, next round, the semi-finals are going to be some real good games, I think. So you've got Saints and Warriors on the 9th of May. So that's St Helens against Wigan. And you've got Warrington Wolves against Hull KR on the 10th of May. So a nice little weekend there for the semi-finals. I'll definitely be tuning into those because they always tend to be good games. Arguably, a lot of the time, they're better than the finals, which is just no different to like the NFL, is it? I think the conference championships are normally better than the Super Bowl. So, and I think the division games are sometimes even better than the conference championships. So, I don't think it's too different, but probably the right 4 teams to be there, if we're really honest, based on current form. Hull KR that anomaly maybe, but they're showing that they're where they need to be at the minute.
I mean, going into the start of the season as such, if you were going to put 4 teams into the if you're going to put 4 teams into the semi-finals, then you won't get great odds backing these 4, because they're probably 4 of the favourites to get in there, and it's no surprise. Has the semi-final draw been released yet? Who's playing who? You're muted, mate.
Sorry. The semi-final is what I've just gone through.
Oh, do you know what? I thought you were talking about the next 4 games in their schedule. That is my bad. I just weren't paying attention to you. I just weren't paying attention. But
thanks, mate. You must have been distracted by researcher Cal actually surfacing his head and turning up to our show finally.
Yeah, he's actually here. Can you believe it? I still can't find a camera big enough for his head, so all I can see is his eyes. But yeah, he's back, is it? It was a good game. Just going to recap the scores right quickly. Saints 36, Catalans 4, OKR 48, York 10, Warrington 24, Lee 10, Wakefield 26, Wigan 20. Wakefield 22, Wigan 26. So an all in all, a good stellar week for rugby. Getting back into the season, the regular season next week, so we'll have more games to kind of go through and just touch on and digest from there. Going into the season, though, as well, let us know what you think about I Can't Speyk. If there's anything that you want us to talk more about with it as well, when it comes down to it, we're brushing on all the games. Would you rather us do feature games rather than touching on them all? You let us know. We want to know what your views are. You can do that by hitting his socials all over at YouTube, at All Balls No Filter Podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music and all that jazz, or at ABNF Pod across all of your socials. Right then. It's time, I believe, for Carl's Conundrum. Right. And we're flying through this. And no, it's not. No, it's not a lie. A lie. I were not looking at the right part of the script there, sir. My head's all over the place. Carl's really throwing me off here. We're getting into all the balls. We're getting into all other balls. I can read. Touching on all other balls. Brad, do me a favour. Save me. What's all other balls?
I think I need to save you with this one, don't I? Jeez. Oh, we'll see if we can be bothered editing this in post or not. All other balls is where we touch on the wider world of sport. As you know, rugby league is sort of a main feature now, but we'll touch on other games, other sporting games, other ball games, whatever you want to call them, that's happening around the world. We've had a couple of quiet weeks, but I think this one we've got a good couple of stories or two to touch on. Zach, do you want to take us through the first one or two?
So Rory McIlroy has won the Masters, defending his title. Now, I'm going to say some stats here that are could be in the feature, stats that could be fake, because I don't trust myself with what I'm saying here, but I'm pretty sure it's what I've seen. Back-to-back titles for Rory coming into this at the Masters, as well as he's one of like 3 or 4 people that have done this.
I think he's the fourth. I think he's the fourth person
to win back-to-back. And his earnings, I saw something about his earnings, and weirdly enough, I was just asking research Cal to try and grab it right quickly. His earnings at the Masters over the past, I think it's 4 attempts he's been there, were like a couple of hundred thousand, 4 million. Like his earnings just from the Masters alone have been ridiculous. And it's in fact there was a stat that I saw, a bit of a golf NFL clash, and it was Rory McIlroy's managed to win back-to-back Masters in the time that the Jets have still not got an interception.
Yes, I did see that.
Yes, which is fantastic. He's the first person since Tiger Woods to win it back to back, which is absolutely great. And you know what? Credit where credit's due. He's making golf exciting again. He's come back in some form. He dropped a bit of form a couple of years back, and I say dropped a bit of form. Still a fantastic golfer, but just weren't at that top of his game. Now he's just looking like he's out there having fun, which is all good to see. We then move on to the Grand National. A very controversial horse race. A lot of horses run round. A lot don't make it to the end just because they fall over. Not no other reason, but just to fall over as such. This one, though, the favourite wins, which is very rare actually for the National, and it's the second time he's won it. Won the National, should I say? But I watch this at home, as you do. I'm a fair weather horse racing fan. I'll watch the big races. I don't mind going to the races, things like that, but I'm not an avid week in, week out watcher. What got me this year is it just seemed there were a lot more rogue horses. Now, a horse will fall. Plenty of horses fall in the National. But with this one, there just seemed to be a lot more getting in the way without a jockey, like a jockeyless horse. And it was just one of them where, bad to say, but it added the excitement because it upped that danger level. But just want to cover my own back here.
The knives are going to be coming out for you, mate.
This episode in particular, just want to cover my own back here. It adds the excitement because the danger's on the jockey. I don't want any harm to come. I don't want any harm to come to the horses because I'm just going to start backpedaling here. Right, Brad, what's your view on the National?
I don't care about the jockeys. I just care about the horses.
Lovely. I'm trying to get Peter on my side. Do you know what I mean? Because they're the ones that are going to come and stab me. Animal welfare.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a difficult one, isn't it? Because Look, we know there's a lot of controversy, but on the flip side, there's been horse racing around for a very, very long time. You know, you could say the same thing about alcohol. Like, if alcohol was a new thing, it'd be banned. It wouldn't be legal, but it has been around for a long time. I'm not going to get into the politics of that, but I am Maximus, so winning it for the second time. He is, I believe, the first horse since Red Rum to regain his title, if I am not mistaken. Obviously, quite a big name there. So yeah, winning its second Grand National. So well done to I Am Maximus, the horse, and his trainers and the jockey. I won't pretend to know all the names because I don't. But there you go.
Breaking news. Breaking news. Diana Rossini, who we spoke about at the start, announces her retirement from the Athletic.
Resignation.
I say breaking news. But yeah, yeah. Oh my God, my head. If you still listen, I apologise right now. I am got since you've come. Carl, these were flaws until you came in.
Yeah,
by the way.
you started so well. To be fair, you even pronounced her name right earlier.
Well, speaking of pronunciation, we're going to get into the third story. You're getting 3 Oliver balls, and Brad, you're going to take this one for obvious reasons in about 6 words' time.
Yeah, so Tyson Fury, he made his millionth comeback, a successful comeback, beating Makhmudov in a unanimous decision over 12 rounds. So it was, I'd say it was a bloodbath. It wasn't, because I don't know if you watched it or not, Zach, but he just played with him, didn't he? And like, it was just comfortable the whole way through. And it was, you know, I like Fury. I used to hate him. I don't know why. I just really hated him at one point. And then he just really grew on me. And now I really love him. Like, he's hilarious. I think, you know, he's just got this character, but still at what, 37 or 38?
37.
You know, he's still fast on his feet. He can still move for a big boy, and his hands are quick. Like, he has got some skills there, and it was like, I don't know, it was so lopsided, and I think he could have had him knocked out way earlier in the fight, but it was just getting those rounds under his belt, wasn't it?
Yeah, we had some friends around watching the fight that night, and I'm again a fair weather fighting fan. I'll watch the big fights. I'm not going to stand there and tell you that I watch week in, week out, but it got to a point where I'm like, we just end this now. And you could tell that he was using it. He was basically getting paid like 8 mil or whatever he got paid for it to have a sparring match, because he was just utilising new things. And then the biggest thing for me was that cringy WWE ending. You, Dosser, Anthony Joshua, I want you there. And then Anthony's sat there, even though Netflix had already announced that they're fighting in August or whatever. You're the one that keeps, not sending contract and all. It's like, mate, come on, we don't need the theatrical side of it. It's got no, like, you know,
It was silly. It was just ridiculous, wasn't it? Like, but I mean, that's part of his character though as well. But I thought Joshua was cringe after it. It was just, the whole thing was cringe.
You know what got me, right? And I don't think they realised it was televised, as in Fury and AJ. So the fight finishes and Fury leans over before they announce the winner. The fight finished, and they're talking to each other. And it's like, Fury's like, "Come on in," and AJ's like, "No, man, this is your night. Just enjoy the night. Like, have some respect for your opponent. It's you two go up there and do it." And Fury's like, "No, man, come on in." And then 5 minutes later, it's the screaming at each other on the road. It's like, yo, you try to sell it. We know you try to sell the fight. You don't need
I think that was probably part of the sell, though, wasn't it? I think he wanted him in the ring so they could do the whole, you know, face-off sort of thing. And it's just, it is so showy, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. If they fight, I'll watch it, and it'll probably be one of the biggest earning fights in Britain for a long time. But it's, yeah, I don't know. Who do you think could win?
Right, if it goes distance, Fury. If it's a knockout, AJ. That'd be my view on it. I think Tyson is too skilled of a just getting them quick jabs in. But at the same time, I think Fury can. I think AJ can pack in that punch. I really do. And I know neither of them are in the A game what it would have been. If 5 years ago, this would have been a mega fight. This would have been unreal of a fight. But yeah.
I think it's a good bit of marketing as well that you had the Fury comeback fight on the Saturday, and then on the Sunday, Netflix were releasing At Home with the Furies season 2.
And it's now on number 1.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I watched the first season. I quite enjoyed it. I will watch the second season. I'm not going to lie to you, but good bit of marketing, wasn't it?
Of course, they know what they're doing, don't they? Well, that's all the balls for this week. We'd give you three balls this week.
You lucky buggers.
You lucky buggers. Right, we're going to move on to Carl's conundrum for this week and for last week. So we're going to get touched into this. Now, I struggled because I had a mind blank, and it's not very often that happens, as you can tell. That with this one, it was just in your head, and I could not think of it to save my life. But let's recap over this again. And it was, who was the only player to score a rushing touchdown, receiving touchdown, and a kick return in the same NFL playoff game? Now, I realised a couple of days after that I mistakenly put all my thought into Super Bowl. And I'm trying to think, like, when has this happened in a Super Bowl? I can't think of this happening in a Super Bowl. And I was trying to go back to, like, peak Patriots time, because I thought it had been kind of aimed on down that route. And I was like, I just can't think to save my life. But yeah, the answer was, Brad?
Dion Lewis. And that was against Houston in the 2016/17 divisional round.
Yeah, so I enjoyed that one. That was the first conundrum in a couple of days that really stuck to me. That we're trying to. A lot of them for me. Look, gonna be honest, not very smart. Second time I've admitted it this pod, right? So a lot of them are just like, yeah, I don't know this. Move on. This one really kind of started playing in my mind. But as always, if you got it, well done. Happy days. Thank you very much for taking part in it. We're going to give you another one now. And we're going to give you next week's Carl's conundrum for you guys to get your teeth stuck into. And this is, who is the youngest player to ever play in the NFL? So who is the youngest player to ever play in the NFL? If you know the answer without using Google, because no one likes Cheatabix, get on to all of our socials, which will be posted on there, or on the YouTube and Spotify and all that jazz. Let us know in the comments below. I need to stop talking. My mind has gone. Right.
This is like one of the earliest podcasts we've recorded. It's one of the shortest podcasts we've recorded. And you think we'd be filming at like 2 a.m.?
Honestly, if you stayed this long, I love you and I appreciate you all so much. But that's this week's Carl's conundrum. Who is the youngest player to ever play in the NFL? Let us know across all of our socials. Brad, that is us done.
Thank the Lord.
You're telling me, brother. Thank the Lord indeed. I want to thank every single person that is listening week in, week out, all the subscribers that we're getting week in, week out, and the people that get in touch with us as well. Thank you so much. Let us know what you want to see. We are on the work of getting a guest on. We've got some guests lined up. We were just making sure that we had things working in the background, and I think we have at this moment in time. Brad, anything from yourself before we go?
No, just thanks to those of you that are listening, as you say. Thank you to you, Zach, for actually making it through the episode. Thank you to you, Researcher Carl, for nothing. And we'll see you all next week, hopefully. And pre-draft show next week. And then the draft itself. So exciting week next week.
Hell yeah. Right. Good night. God bless. Peace out and have fun.
Bye-bye.